This week's episode of Aussie Tech Heads is brought to you by Start New Company. Register your company immediately today with ASIC. ABN, TFN, GST registration is also available directly from the portal. Also set up your family trust and self-managed superannuation fund and more. All at startnewcompany.com.au. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/startnewco and keep an eye out for our regular specials. Start your new company now within 10 minutes of lodgement. All legal company documentation provided after registration. startnewcompany.com.au. And also brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au. All our servers are operating on SSD drives, immediate activation, SSL certificates, Aussie support, domain registration, and more. Easy install WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, and 300 other one-click installations. Generous space and bandwidth, auto backups, WordPress help and maintenance plans are also available on Contact. If your web page is important for your business or your life, contact us today. Aussie support, secure services, athwebhosting.com.au. And now for the show.
Welcome to episode 693 of the Aussie Tech Heads, recorded on the 10th of September 2020. I'm your host, Jason Oakley, and this is my co-host, Will Tompkinson. Hey, Will.
Hey, mate. How goes it?
Did you see that dude in the intro's got the same jacket as me? How dare they?
I know, right?
I hate it when you clash with somebody else and they're wearing the same clothes.
It's almost like you could buy them anywhere.
And the same hairstyle, the same glasses, and well, actually different glasses because I've got new ones now.
Dear.
How's stuff going up there, Mr. Dual Printer, sir?
Yeah, we're coming into summer now. We've had our winter, now we're into summer.
Yep.
We're only 2 seasons in Queensland. We don't have 4. We just got 2.
Why have I got a jacket on if we're in summer?
I got my aircon on.
I just put the fan on because it's a little bit stuffy, but other than that, we had rain last night.
Well, we actually had rain today. It's been pretty muggy today, so we had rain all day, but yesterday, I think it was 32 or 33 or something like that, and then it was like 4 degrees overnight.
Oh, jeez, man.
So you got to leave the aircon on auto because it confuses the shit. It's like...
What does my Aussie Byte Fitbit watch app with the weather say? 14 degrees currently and 20 tomorrow.
There you go.
If you had a Fitbit, you too could have a Aussie Byte.
If I had a Fitbit, I'll just stop there. If I had a Fitbit, it'd be...
I'd be a bit fit.
That's it,
exactly.
Maybe that's the problem.
It's failed.
maybe I need a Fitbit to get fit. Fitbit to get fit.
I've got one, but it hasn't helped me.
I think you got to wear it and use it. I think it's leaving.
Dude, don't you just stick it on your arm and then suddenly you drop 20 kilos and get a 6-pack?
I don't think that's the problem.
Oh. Hey, lied to me when I bought it.
Maybe it's the 6-pack that's the problem.
False advertising.
They said get a 6-pack, but they didn't. I don't think you're supposed to buy the 6-pack. I think
it's in the fridge. I had 5 of them before the show.
What, 5 6-packs?
Yeah. Yes.
That'll do it. Well, there's your problem.
So, you guys got a bit of the flu going around?
Yeah, it's a thing up here at the moment. It's just changed because we changed our seasons so abruptly. I think you sort of, especially we were still getting the cold nights and the hot days. So
yeah,
it's not really a flu. It's just a change of season, sort of hay fevery, coffee stuff. It's really annoying. But
yeah, that's why I went on the antihistamines yesterday. Had to start on that again. Bloody things.
So, but tis all fun and games.
Yeah. Printing any cool stuff lately?
No.
No.
No
printing at all?
Printer done be dead.
Oh.
Yeah, the hot end's not a hot end anymore.
Oh, it's gone cold.
I don't know, it goes hot. It just doesn't do anything once it's hot.
Oh. It's not terribly helpful, is it?
No, not overly, no. No, I'm waiting on new hot end, new. Actually, new tips turned up today. I got some I got 0.4s and 0.5 or 0.4s and 0.6, something like that. So I know what size I'm actually printing with, which is half the problem. But yeah, then I need another actual hot head.
I already got a hot head.
Because that one it just never seems to extrude properly. It doesn't really matter how many times I cleaned or whatever. It just never seems 100% happy. So
get a new one. Fix it all up.
Got a new one coming. I'm going to order an all metal one, which doesn't have the PTFE tube that goes down the center. It's a metal center and the PTFE tube joins at the top.
Oh, all right. Nice upgrades.
Yeah, but I want to make sure it's printing properly first, and then I'll get that.
Yep.
Don't want to throw any money at it and find out it ain't going to work anyway.
No.
So, but I did order the cable for it, so I can run my Raspberry Pi on it, so I can use Octoprint on it now.
Sweet.
So there's that, because the Pi W has got micro USB, and that thing's got micro USB. So I needed a micro USB to a mini USB.
All right.
Which is I don't think a cable I've ever used in my life.
No, me neither.
I definitely didn't have one of those.
Should we mention this thing going across the top?
Facebook.com/AussieTechHeads.
No, the one that just went off while you're talking.
So patreon.com/AussieTechHeads. You can find us there. Or you can find some information on us there. You can give us money there. That'd be great. Basically it helps us out. Helps us with
getting drunk at the Christmas party.
Well, if there's enough of it, hopefully. But yeah, basically helps us with hardware and software and services and support and all that sort of stuff to keep the show operational. So obviously,
only problem is if we had the Christmas party up your way, I'm going to have to stay in a hotel for 14 days.
We got the granny flat down the back.
Oh, this is government hotel.
You can isolate down there.
They won't let me.
just don't tell anyone.
No, as soon as you get off the plane, they chuck you in the motel.
People only know if you tell them. If you don't tell them, they don't know.
$2,800 for 14 days.
Stupid, isn't it? And people are wondering how they're going to recoup their money from all the money they're giving out. That's how they do it.
Now we know. Gotcha.
Suckers. So,
well, don't worry. The federal government's hating on the Queensland and Victoria ones at the moment for the lockdown. So somebody's going to break sooner or later.
Not just the federal government. Everybody.
Everybody's hating on them.
Everybody hates them. But yeah, I don't know. We could always go to a border town and have a party there. Yeah. You sit on one side of the border, we'll sit on the other side of the border.
Merry Christmas, Glenn and Will.
You go to tweet.
What was that? You have to speak up.
You can go to tweet heads because that's on the bubble.
There we go.
Yeah, do both. But yeah, no. So yeah, basically, if you don't know, Patreon is it's basically you can give us a couple of bucks a month for we'll eventually have behind the scenes, and there'll be special access, early access stuff and things like that only patrons will get, depending on what tier you purchase. $4 tier being the basic one, $4 a month, $1 a show basically. If nothing else, it forces us to do the show because you're now paying us for the show, so we have to do it. So we don't really have a choice anymore. Yeah, so it just helps to go towards equipment and hosting and services and all sorts of stuff we need. And
the internet costs money, people.
Everything, and not just everything. Not only the internet, everything to do with the internet costs money. So I'd like to thank Chris and David Bird and Daniel and Amanda D and Bouncing Yellow Skull and Denview. You need to send me an email, dude, and tell me how to say your name. So
with an MP3 attached.
Yeah, well, actually, that's something we're going to implement. There's actually we have the ability, and I'm just in the process of setting it up. You'll be able to go to our hosts that we upload our podcast to, and you'll be able to leave us voice messages there. There's actually a button you can click to leave us a voice message. So that's pretty cool. So that's something
You
I have
too
to see.
can be on the Aussie Tech Head.
No, that's it. You can, we can put you on the show or put your pre-roll. There's options to set you as a pre-roll for that episode if we choose. So, but yeah, so that's something. If you don't feel obliged, obviously, but if you can spare a couple bucks a month, feel free to throw it our way because we're not going to complain. That's for sure.
Appreciate it. Maybe we should do some news then.
Yeah, there's actually
news
a reasonable amount of news this week for the first time in a while.
Like specially crafted Windows 10 themes and theme packs can be used in pass the hash attacks to steal Windows account credentials from unsuspecting users. Windows allows users to create custom themes that contain customized colors, sounds, mouse cursors, and wallpaper the operating system will use. Windows users can then switch between different themes as desired to change the appearance of the operating system. The theme settings are saved under the App Data Microsoft Windows Themes folder as a file with the .theme extension, such as custom dark.theme. Windows themes can then be shared with other users by right-clicking on an active theme and selecting Save Theme for sharing, which will package them into a .desc theme pack file. These desktop theme packs can then be shared by email or as downloads on websites and installed by double-clicking on them. This weekend, security researcher Jimmy Bain, also known as BoHops on Twitter, revealed that specifically crafted Windows themes could be used to perform pass-the-hash attacks. Pass-the-hash attacks are used to steal Windows login names and password hashes by tricking a user into accessing a remote SMB share that requires authentication. When trying to access the remote resource, Windows will automatically try to log into the remote system by sending the window user's login name and an NTLM hash of their password. In a pass-the-hash attack, the sent credentials are harvested by the attackers who then attempt to dehash the password to access the visitor's login name and password.
That seems fine.
Computer.
Nothing.
This is fine.
I mean, nothing about that seems out of the ordinary at all for a Windows. Really?
Full of holes.
Yeah, I mean that's part of its charm, isn't it?
It's a feature, not a bug. People pay good money for that.
Even better than that, it's a bugged feature. Oh dear. But yeah, no, I mean, is that a thing people do? Is really sharing Windows themes, is that a thing that people really do?
There are a lot of things that I don't understand that people do, and I'm like,
I know.
why? And then I get a job stopping them from doing those stupid things, don't I?
I mean, I get a lot of things like themes on...
How much Viagra do you need? Seriously?
I know, right? Well, you see. But I don't know. The thing I don't understand, okay, I get like maybe a browser theme or a Discord or an OBS, a theme like that I understand because it's the part of the program that you're actively using.
Yeah.
You don't really use Windows per se. Once you've booted Windows and you've loaded the program you're using, you effectively don't need Windows.
This screen has got a program on that half, this monitor's got a program on it, that monitor's got a program. I can't see my background.
No, that's what I'm saying. Windows is not really something you use. It's not... A theme isn't going to be any benefit because you don't... Unless you're one of those people who sits there and plays solitaire all day.
But you used to have a mouse cursor that looked like an actual mouse.
I used to have a mouse cursor that looked like a dinosaur.
See? Themes.
But you see the mouse. It's like...
And then you could have flying toasters and crap that slowed down.
I used to love flying toast. I used to love the flying toast app in general. It was awesome. And then I used to have Christmas tree lights, and they used to go up and around the border of the screen, and they used to blink.
Yeah.
Like they'd change colours at 1 frame a second.
Did you have Bill Gates cleaning your screen on the screensaver?
Windows cleaner. Yep.
And that guy who was on the island.
Yeah. I used to love all those.
Just different things.
He used to cut down trees and a coconut would fall on his head, and yeah, I used to love those.
I actually follow a guy on Twitter who's got like an account. It's like Island Dude or something, and every day it's just this stupid thing. It's got an island with a palm tree and a guy on it that's a stick figure, and something stupid happens. It's just like, every single day he does a new cartoon of this Island Dude. Like one time he's out fishing and he pulls up his fishing line and a plug comes out of the ocean and it drains, and he's like, what? I just love seeing that every day. It's just something funny to see with all the crap that's going on in Twitter all the time.
After dark.
After dark, yep.
Used to have the sheep The sheep used to eat your icons.
The E-sheep.
The sheep, yeah.
E-sheep, I loved E-sheep.
I used to
Every now and then he'd go, and then fade away, then come back again.
Yeah, it was awesome. I had forgotten all about it. Actually.
Back in the old days when things were fun.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now look at our boring computers. Nothing happens.
So, but I mean, that was back when, productivity wasn't, you used to be able to sit there and have a screensaver playing, And
you press F11 for the boss
mode,
key, which would pop up a fake Excel spreadsheet.
Boss key was boss. Rise of the Triad had that too.
Yeah.
You'd press F11 and it'd drop you to a DOS prompt.
Yeah. What are you doing? Nothing, sir. Just working really hard. I had aquarium.
Yeah, the aquarium was
I like
actually
all the
really
different
cool.
aquariums.
I liked that. Was it 3D Fish or whatever it's called?
Mm.
That thing was brilliant. And I had a Monty Python one as well. A Monty
right.
Python. I can't find a reference to it anywhere. It's like I was the only person in the world that had it. But it came as a CD with like one of the PC mags or something. It was one of the first CDs I ever got. And it was full of like clips and everything. It was great.
These are things you share, people, not Windows things.
Yeah.
Anymore, anyway.
That's it. So
you're not going to see it when your farm bill's taken over the only monitor you've got.
Oh dear. Yeah, no, those were the days. Anywho. If only there's some sort of show or an outlet that we had that we could do something like that with old technology.
Right.
I wonder if I've probably still got the graphics kicking around here somewhere. I have to reboot.
Reboot.
Old Fart Geeks rebooted.
Yeah.
Boot the Old Fart Geeks.
Somebody should.
So just something quickly, if you're interested, Audi is selling 58-inch 4K Ultra HD Android TVs on Saturday the 19th. So Saturday coming.
Netflix on there.
Yeah, they're 58-inch display or 146 centimeters, 4K Ultra HD, 60 hertz, HDMI, 3x USB, 1 optical port, really, 3.5mm headphone, Wi-Fi, Android TV, but they're not sure what version. PVR recording in HD. Yeah, they're not sure what version of Android TV it's running, but it would seem, based on the pictures, it could be TV version 9. Do they have the price here? I didn't actually. For $579. So that's pretty decent for a 58-inch HD, $579. So if you're looking for a new HD TV with all the bells and pretty much, I mean, it's going to have everything you want to do.
2 years ago, I bought a 50-inch TV for like $700.
Yeah.
It only does 1080p.
I know, I was the same. I was about to say exactly
and it
the same
came
thing.
with the TCL store, but they wouldn't put Netflix into next year's model, so they wanted me to get rid of a TV I bought 1 year ago and buy the next model just so I could watch Netflix. So I got a PlayStation.
I'm exactly the same. I got the TCL and it's exactly the same. So, and my TCL, the YouTube app's outdated now, won't work. So, I mean, I got a media center. I bought one of those $49 eBay media centers.
Yeah.
And I just do everything through that. That does everything anyway. So it
why
solved that
would
problem.
you care, right?
Yeah. But
the hell, you're just pissing off the MP.
Yeah, I know. But I think mine was, $850 or $800, something like that. And that was a 50. It was a 50 or a 55-inch, but
I went in to get a 40 because I had a 26.
yeah.
And when I looked at the 40s and looked at the 50s, I'm like, that's 40's not going to do it.
No. Well, at my in-laws' place, they just bought a 68.
Yep.
I think it is. But it's a bezel-less, so it's
Nice.
full 68. But their lounge room's that big that it looks smaller than my 50.
Oh, no.
Like it's like this big. Like you're looking. It's like in the old days when I used to sit down and watch our CRT.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's. I'm trying to get them to upgrade to a 100-inch, and I know where I can mount that one.
I'll tell you where you can mount it.
So,
How would you like the opportunity to pay money to Firefox?
about that much.
Firefox is exploring subscriptions and other value exchange services to ease its financial dependence on its rival Google, according to the browser's lead developer. Firefox maker Mozilla is in the uneasy position of being financially dependent on its search deal with Google, which accounts for the majority of the organization's revenue. Although Mozilla only last month renewed the search deal, ensuring Google remains the default search engine for Firefox in the US and other territories, the company is keen to explore other ways of raising revenue, including charging users for services. Mozilla's partnership with Google is an uncomfortable alliance, not only because the companies distribute rival browsers, but because their values are markedly different. While Google generates the vast bulk of its revenue from online advertising, Firefox's developers expend much of their effort creating tools that thwart advertisers, including the automatic blocking of third-party tracking tools and social media trackers. At Mozilla, we tend to believe things are at their best when users have the transparent value exchange, said Dave Camp, Senior Vice President of Firefox at Mozilla. The advertising model has become a default way to fund things on the internet and to fund products, and we're pretty interested, not just for financial reasons, but actually for health of the internet reasons, to explore how can we do better for users than advertising. Mozilla recently began charging users $4.99 a month through its VPN product, and Camp says the company is exploring other subscription products. We don't have any intermediate plans on the Firefox team to do add-on services or anything like that at the moment, but we're going to look at other ways to get some value exchange going on. So Opera gives you a free VPN.
Yeah, I was going to say, here's the confusing part about this. I have NordVPN if I want to VPN the entire system or my server or, whatever. So I use that for a complete system VPN. If I only want a browser-based one, then I use Opera because it has a free VPN. It does mean, of course, you're restricted to using Opera, and you've got to be careful because if you're not thinking, you're thinking, you're half asleep and you open another browser, not thinking that you're only using the Opera VPN, but I don't mind paying. Like, I'll pay for AdBlock Plus, for example, in Chrome.
Yep.
Every 12 months or whatever, they pop up and say, hey, it's been 12 months, would you like to throw us a couple of bucks? Yeah, no worries, I'll chuck you a couple of bucks. I'm happy to do that. If it's a model like that, I'm fine with that. If it's like pay what you want sort of model, then yeah, I'll give you $10 a year. But even if I give you $1 a year, but the thing is, if you get 100 million users giving you $1 a year, it's probably more than you're making now. But if you
I give money to paint.net because I use that damn thing all the time. It's fantastic software.
Yeah. But if you say you're going to pay us $5 a month or we're going to restrict features, I'm going to go, well, I'll go to a different browser that doesn't. So I don't mind paying for it.
It's not like it's the only one there is.
No. I don't mind paying for it as long as you let me choose when and how I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah.
If you say, we've got, you can give us a couple of bucks, whenever you want, or then yeah, sure, I'll do that. Given that it's not
Patreon,
given that it's not my primary browser, my primary browser is still Chrome, regardless of whether or not it should be. It is, and I wouldn't. I mean, we use Thunderbird for both work and at home, and I'd be happy to pay, $10 a year to use Thunderbird commercially.
Yeah,
that's not a problem. The only other option is, the only other general option is Outlook, and it's far superior to Outlook. So,
yeah.
But once again, don't force me to pay you $10 a year. Give me the option to say, hey, would you like to chuck us a couple of bucks? Okay, yeah, no worries.
Even if it pops up once every few months and say, hi.
You're going to get far more people giving you a couple of bucks a couple of times a year than you are people giving you $10 once a year.
Yeah.
So ultimately, you're going to come out in front, as long as you're not greedy. So that's why I stopped using their firewall, because they wanted to charge for it. I already pay for a firewall if I want to lock my system down. I'm not paying for a browser-specific firewall.
No.
I'm happy just to go back and click the on button on my Nord every time I want to use it, if that's the case. I don't have a problem doing that. I just don't want to go through the hassle of having to close my Chrome browser so that YouTube and Facebook and my banking software don't crack it at me because I'm suddenly in a different country all of a sudden. Which is the reason on my primary system I don't use a full system and, VPN because you do.
I don't because I can't use Minecraft.
Well, Minecraft's another one, but banks, Facebook, Google, all these services you use, Twitter, all these services you use regularly, they go, hang on, why are you suddenly in Korea? And you're like, well, you see. So I don't use it on my primary system. I use it on my NAS. I use it on my server. I use it on my set-top box. I use it on the computers out in the shed and stuff like that are running like Windows XP because they're really ancient laptops. So I use NordVPN on them, which realistically, it just stops. It doesn't do much, but if somebody does hack into it, they're going to have a hell of a time finding the actual source of that program. That's the only regular reason I use it out there. Plus, actually, sometimes on a couple of the websites I use, they run better through a VPN, and I don't understand why. I'm with Aussie Broadband, so they don't throttle. They don't monitor and throttle websites. So it's not. If I was with Telstra or Optus, I'd expect that to be the case. But I think what happens is once the traffic leaves Aussie Broadband, I think then it gets monitored. They don't monitor it, but they're only at the end of the day renting the back end.
There's only a couple of exit points from Australia.
Exactly, and I think they're the ones that get monitored. So if you run a VPN, even though your peak speed may be less, I think a lot of the time the throughput is high quality throughput. Like it may be a lower speed, but you drop less packets and the quality of the transmission is better.
You might find your YouTubes and Netflix work better.
Well, I find like we use movies.do, which is a movie streaming service. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm paying for the movies. I'm not torrenting them because I'm paying them $5 a year to use the service.
Yep.
If they don't pass that on, that's not my problem. I'm paying for the service. So I have no problems at all streaming movies that way. But I find that, when I use it directly, you get about 3/4 of the way through a movie and it starts buffering and going weird and carrying on. If I use a VPN, I can't watch it in. I can't watch it in full HD. So I have to watch it in 720. I can't watch it in 1080 because I don't have the overall speed.
Yep.
But I don't have the buffering issues. It's just a smoother thing. I can drop it down as far as 360 without a VPN. It still buffers and carries on. So it's not a speed thing. It's definitely a quality of transmission issue, quality of service. So yeah, and I mean, as I said, so I'm not going to pay them $5 a month to have a VPN when I have a VPN. But if you incorporate that into the browser and you let me pay a couple of bucks a year for the browser, then yes, absolutely, I'll pay for it.
There we go.
So.
You sold him Firefox. There's your new business model.
But I mean, that shouldn't be just that. That should be the business. If you're on the internet, that should be your business model. Don't tell me what to pay.
Yeah.
You allow me to pay you what I choose to pay you. And the chance, and people who love the program and use it commercially are going to pay you more. Because they use it more, they rely on it, they love it, and you're making their life easier, so ultimately they'll pay you more. People who use it 2 times a year aren't going to probably pay you, and that's fine, because, you've got this happy medium thing going on. Or even if you stipulate, look, if you use this for, not so much a web browser, but say a backup program, for example. Even if you stipulate and say, look, chuck us $5 if you want for private use, otherwise it's free to use. If you're using commercially, you need to throw us $10. Like, come on, do that. Split it into 2 things. I used a program today to clone a hard drive onto an SSD, and there was a an unpaid option or a paid option, and the unpaid option, you could still do it, but you had to go through and manually assign the petitions and the allocations and the size of each petition, and you had to do it all manually. Whereas if you paid them $10, that's all it was $10 for a yearly subscription. Yeah. That was automated. So they didn't restrict their product to the point you couldn't use it. They simply took some of the
ease of use away.
Ease of use, and some of the if you're a business using that software, you would pay them $10 a year because that time save is definitely worth it. But if you're doing it twice a year, you're going to put up with the inconvenience of having to spend half an hour and shuffle everything across manually.
Yeah.
So I really think that's the way that payment in general, whether it's software or whether it's media. I think that's the way it needs to go. It needs to come down to the individual person needs to be conscious of their use case and be accordingly. It goes back to the old days of freeware, where same thing. I mean, look at WinRAR. It's been freeware forever, you know. And obviously,
the company hasn't gone bust.
No, and obviously people are still using it because it's been around for 30 years, and people must pay them money because they're still up and around, you know. So I don't know who, but I'm sure it must be the commercial.
Somebody somewhere.
It must be the commercial licenses keeping them afloat. I don't think any consumer ever has paid for it.
No.
They even have they used to, I don't know if they still do, on their website, they used to have the nag tool remover.
Oh, right.
Yeah, on their own website, you could remove their nag screen. They figured somebody's already created it, we might as well chuck it on our website so it's easier for you to find.
Those guys are great. I remember they used to have one of those on, there was a program that would skip all nagging screens on the Amiga called Gomph. Get out of my face.
Yep.
Anytime it came up with a shareware thing saying countdown and then click here or click here to continue, it automatically do all of those for you.
Yep. Speaking of Google, Google says it supports Australian media and not to blame for the newspaper classifieds decline. So this is continuing from the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about how the Australian media basically wants to ban everything from looking at their sites because that's going to help their problem.
They don't want customers or readers or viewers.
It just means they just got to do less work, that's all.
Yeah.
Nobody reads their stuff. They haven't got to write the stuff, do they? Google has stated that while it does not object to there being a news media bargaining code, it disagrees with the one that has been proposed. Just to be clear, Google does not object to the idea of an Australian code of overseas relationships between new businesses and digital platform, it said in the latest blog post. We've already made agreements to pay publishers for content through the licensing program, and several Australian publishers have come on board. What we don't agree with is the law that's totally unworkable from a product and business perspective. We know that many voices have called for changes to the current draft law. Google want to explain how it currently supports and does not use nor steal network content, news content. We link to stories just like we link to every other story. Think Wikipedia entries, personal blogs or business websites. How we connect people with news content is no different than if, say, search your footy team's homepage, your website with your favourite recipes or official government websites. The search giant also reinforced how it does not make money from news content because it's not financially lucrative for us to do so, pointing out last year news content generated a mere $10 million AU in revenue. Rather, Google makes money from ads, and only if a user clicks on them. People come to Google to find many things, whether it's how-to videos for recipes, sports, weathers, forecasts, outfit ideas, or home insurance, it wrote. News is only a very small part of this content. Wow, I couldn't understand content for a reason. It represents a tiny proportion of search queries. In fact, we looked at all the billions of searches that Australians typed into Google over the past year and found just over 1% of those were news-related. Google added it supports Australian news media business by policying on the vast majority of money advertisers pay them directly to Australian publishers. So, basically, this is what we've been saying. They don't make the money, they would make money if somebody clicked a link to go to a news site that had a Google ad on that news site.
Yeah.
But they don't make the money from the link being clicked directly on there. Like, that's not how it works. So I can't believe, like, despite all this outrage and how everything's been both the public and businesses are saying no, that you're wrong, this is not going to work. They somehow managed to think that this is a good idea. Like, I don't understand. I don't know, unless I'm missing something, but I just don't understand. I don't understand their end goal. Not only are they losing customers and losing the ability for their stories to get noticed, but they're willingly do. I don't know. I don't know.
I reckon they're going to make billions out of it somehow. I don't get it.
But what they're saying is between 2002 and 2018, newspaper revenue fell from 4.4 billion to 3 billion. And they're saying that 92% of that was from the loss of classified ads, and most of these classified revenues went to specialist online providers that target niches such as job advertisements, secondhand goods, or real estate.
They're not
Almost
Google, are
none
they?
went to Google. And this is the thing, like
Blame Craigslist. Don't blame
or,
Google.
Marketplace or eBay or Gumtree or Google doesn't have a buy, swap, sell section. I'm sorry, but I just
They're never going to make sense.
it doesn't make any sense. And
This
then
is
you're
why
going to
we're not in news media or politics.
and another problem is you're also going to have you're basically going to have a gaming system here now where you're going to have websites who aren't specifically news, like they could be a retail organisation, for example, but they do have, like Aussie Tech Heads. We're not, like you could say that Aussie Tech Heads isn't, I mean, we're a podcast network who happens to do news, but you could say, like, when we do our tweets and things like that, that there is often news-related stories in those tweets. But because we're not a news organisation, those news stories will still be picked up. So our tweets will still show on Google, and our Facebook posts will still show on Google, even though they're news stories, but because we're not a news organisation. So what's going to start happening is people are going to start piggybacking news stories through retail outlets, for example, that vaguely resemble something in their industry, just so that they get the hits. So they're going to get a free piggyback ride off Google because they're not going to be publishing news stories, but they'll be publishing a story loosely based on their organisation that happens to come from a news agency.
They just subscribe to a bunch of news Twitter accounts where people will put out a little summary and not link to anything, and there you go. You can get your
Well,
news.
that's the thing, they can't link. So
stupid
you can write the
They
story.
can't link.
Like you could write a full Facebook article, as long as you don't put a news link in it, you're fine.
Yeah.
The second you link to a mainstream, that's what I'm saying. Like, so a retail outlet like Aussie Tech Heads or whatever could have a whole page that has news stories on it, as long as there's no link to an Australian media outlet.
Yeah.
Then that will get priority because it'll still search the headlines, it'll still search the stories, so it'll still show up on Google.
Well, people can subscribe to Aussie Tech News on Twitter, and you'll see all the local and international tech stuff. But we won't.
At the moment, that links.
Yeah, but if we don't link to any news stories anymore and just put in the summary, you get a summary of everything you need to know, and that's it.
We'd have to
People only read headlines anyway.
Yeah,
Nobody reads the actual
article. No one reads the article. They're either for headline and the last two lines.
Clickbait.
But that's exactly what's going to happen, and that's what will happen, and that will help with SEO because you'll have the searchable title that somebody's looking for, and maybe a paragraph at best of what the actual news story is with no link to go anywhere. Or if you do link, it's going to be linking to like your Facebook page or something. Like there's going to be a non-media related link at the end of it.
Yeah.
And if you use a Bitly or a Google, or actually no, Google doesn't do it anymore. Use a web shortener, then nobody's going to know where it goes anyway until they click on it. Actually, how do they handle that?
They'll have to get onto Bitly. Bitly is now banned in Australia. It links to Australian news articles.
I was going to say, how are they going to handle that? Because is Google smart enough to follow a link?
Yeah.
It is. So if you had a Bitly link, it would follow.
Unless it's got a no-follow directive on it, which nobody ever puts on there.
Okay, so it would actually follow that link and go, no, hang on, this is actually going to a media outlet.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah.
We do that all the time at work. We have web crawlers and stuff, and they follow the link to follow the link to follow the link and see where it ends up. So you can see, because the spammers will put like a spam message on a page and then write a comment on somebody's blog post or something, and then link to the blog post comment, which then links to the spam. So if we just went to the first one and say, oh, well, this is just a comment on somebody's blog, no problem. But then we follow the next link and find out it actually goes to the bad stuff. So there's some browser directives that automatically refresh to a new location once you get to the first one and stuff like that. So
speaking of spam, We've got at work today Roundcube spam.
Oh, what?
People imitating Roundcube. They're saying that your email address needs to be backed up. Please click on this link, otherwise your account's going to be disabled at the end of the week.
How many normal end user people know what a Roundcube is, or Squirrel Mail?
Roundcube. Well, it says Roundcube webmail via your cPanel account. It actually has your actually had the website, and then the from address was webmail at batterycentralbrisbane.com. Like it was a legitimate. That has put webmail at the front. Like it looked legit. It almost caught me out because I'd just come out of cPanel. I was actually dicking around in cPanel doing something else.
Yeah.
And I almost actually clicked on it, and it wasn't until I actually right-clicked on the link and copied the link and pasted it into the browser and looked at it, and I realised it was a redirect. But
that ain't right.
It was, it was like they used Roundcube's proper page formatting and everything.
Yeah.
So they actually put some effort into it.
Bastages.
I meant to show you earlier. I actually forgot, but yeah, thought you might find that one interesting. So be on the lookout for Roundcube. Basically, Roundcube is a webmail. So if you've got a website and you've got a back-end host like cPanel, you would have an option like Roundcube or what's the other one? Squirrel. Or there's a couple others. But yeah, so you normally wouldn't worry about it because normally your emails would then forward to your Outlook or your Thunderbird or Gmail or wherever you're sending them to. But yeah, they made it look legit, saying that it's because Roundcube would be one of the services that accesses your mail if you logged in through the browser. They made it look legit, saying that your account's full, it needs to be compressed and backed up. Click on this link to do it. So,
nasty stuff. I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
Be wary. Oh, if I remember tomorrow, I threw it in the trash. If I remember tomorrow, I'll dig it out.
Zip it up and send it to me.
Yeah.
Viewers are flocking to games during the pandemic, entranced by a charismatic grandmaster and his lightning-fast play. On a recent afternoon, thousands of non-combatants watched him from the sidelines as their general ordered his troops across the battlefield and became locked in a furious duel with the enemy. At one point, he berated himself for a tactical misstep that could have cost his side the high-stakes conflict. Then he smiled and began outmaneuvering his foe. "I can't lose," Hikaru Nakamura said to exultant onlookers. "Victory seemed close as members of the opposing team army were vanquished one by one. I win again. There you go, guys." Wow, Mr. Nakamura gave himself just a moment's respite, then plunged directly into the fray. Pawns, knights, bishops, and even kings fell before him as the chess grandmaster demolished a slate of online challenges, all while narrating the tide of the battle to tens of thousands of fans watching him stream live on Twitch, the Amazon-owned site where people usually broadcast themselves playing video games like Fortnite and Call of Duty. The coronavirus pandemic and stay-at-home orders have crowned a host of unlikely winners catering to bored audiences. For watching live streams of chess games, could one of the world's oldest and most cerebral games really rebrand itself as lively enough pastime to capture the interest of masses on Twitch? Turns out it already has. Since the pandemic began, viewers of live chess games has soared. From March through August, people watched 41.2 million hours of chess on Twitch, 4 times as many hours as in the previous 6 months, according to the analytics site Selenium. In June, an amateur chess tournament called PogChamps was briefly the top viewed stream on Twitch, with 63,000 people watching all at once. And a popular Twitch gamers like Felix Lengyel, better known as XQCOW, also recently started streaming chess. You wouldn't think that'd be that exciting for people who are all into the Overwatches and Fortnites, but no, chess is interesting.
I think it's because it's different, and at the moment people are just after different. The same old thing. I noticed my YouTube. I'm actually look at my YouTube history, and I've been scrolling through it, and I've noticed over the last 2 months, both my YouTube and my Twitch has changed with what I'm watching a lot. I mean, I still watch a lot of my regular ones that I watch, but the random ones I watch now are a lot different than what they were, even a couple of months ago. Like stuff I wouldn't normally bother clicking on, like this guy who made himself he's calling it the world's smallest PC.
Yeah.
And it's a fully playable, plays games and stuff, and
Oh, wow.
He's got a 1-inch display.
You play Pac-Man on it?
Yeah, it's just like he's playing like Fortnite and stuff on it.
But does it play Doom?
Yeah, he's playing all sorts of stuff.
That's what you always have to
He's
say.
streaming to Twitch, and like he couldn't afford another camera, so he mounted a webcam onto his hat, and he uses that as his head mount, and he's
Now, I don't know if it's a bigger screen, I think, than the pregnancy tester somebody installed Doom on recently and was playing on YouTube.
Yeah, well, actually, the funny thing is that's just here. Where I just literally just saw that too. Hang on, that's in my history. Here you go. So there you go. So
there's a pregnancy tester with a little LCD screen that's got Doom running on it.
Yeah. It's amazing what you can run on those things.
I was reading, the pregnancy tester strips that you get, the cheap throwaway ones that just show you 2 lines or 1 line, depending if you're pregnant or not. The electronic ones, the only thing they do is have a photoreceptor that looks and sees if there's 1 or 2 lines and says pregnant or not. It's the exact same thing. Yeah. It's just got a little screen to read 2 lines for you or not.
Yep. It's
And people chuck them in the bin. It's got a CPU, some RAM.
Uses Bluetooth controller.
Little LCD screen.
Yeah, there's a Doom on a digital camera from 1998.
Kodak.
The funny thing is, it's like 1 frame a second in the real world. Like the actual viewfinder is so bad.
Yeah.
But when he's playing Doom, it's actually like it's better. It plays nice. Doom better than it plays a digital camera.
I want it now. I want that camera just so I can play it.
It's nuts, isn't it? So
I'll be playing it on my RG350M True device.
Yeah, which I've started printing the stuff for that, but as I said, I got to wait to print the rest of that because I was having nozzle problems and stuff, and I couldn't get layer adhesion proper. It's fine down here. It's just this bit here, so I'm just going to cut a little bit of plastic, flat plastic that's the same size as this, and I'll just super glue it to the back, which will stop this from giving a bit more support. But that's the holder for it. I've got the grips which I cannot figure out how I'm going to print those, because if you've looked at those things in the slicer, right.
Pretty mad.
Well, it starts off the bottom of the grips, so you've got like a little point like that, so they go that way. So that's got to adhere to the bed somehow. So if
you can't do it, don't worry. There's a guy selling them on eBay.
Oh, I can do it. I'll have to print them on a raft, but I don't know the raft settings for this thing, so I can't. But I can't do it until I get the rest of the parts for it anyway. So it doesn't matter. So there's it's that time of the year again where they're doing the Are You OK push, which is basically the importance of talking to friends, having a chat, even strangers, random people, find someone on.
Even weirdos like this.
Yeah, I know, But even, if you jump on Discord and have a chat to random people, it just, it's one of those things, especially people getting stuck in the house all day. It helps just to have, outside connections to some degree. But what they've done is Google has sort of become on board with this now. And they have a randomized thing you can sign up for, and it works through the Google Assistant, and you can just say, Google, talk to Are You OK, mate? And it will randomly hook you up with somebody else who wants to chat to somebody via that, and you have the conversation through your Google Assistant. And of course, if you choose to, then you can get their details and you can talk to them, email or however else you want to do it. But I just thought it was a pretty cool little thing that you can use that on your phone, because obviously your phone supports Google as well. So whether you're on your phone or whether you've got an assistant or whether you've got a Google Home or a Google TV or whatever you've got, you'll be able to just randomly chat to somebody. So
new Fitbit watch has got Google Assistant. I wonder if I could do it through there.
While you're running. You ran. Why are you panting? I'm running.
Are you okay?
What are you running?
What? No, speak up.
No, I'm not okay. Do I look like I'm okay? That's what. Yeah. Hopefully, you'll be wearing a headset at that point.
Oh, that's really good.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Just a lot of people bag Google for various reasons and Google Assist and the way they're always listening and stuff like that. But when something like this is a thing that's, I fully support this. I have no problems with this being a thing. It's not a privacy issue. It's not a concern. It's not anything like that. It's literally a way to reach out and get assistance or just take your mind off it or de-stress or sometimes talking to a stranger is better than talking to somebody you know.
Yeah.
Because there's no expectations, there's no preconceptions, there's no stigmatisms. It's literally you can say whatever you want because you're never going to speak to this person ever again in your entire life if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, you can obviously if you happen to, become friends or whatever, but you don't have to have that expectation to do that, and you can just literally sit there and spew stuff out of your mouth for an hour, and chances are somebody's going to sit there and listen. You know? So, no, it's pretty cool. So check that out. I'm not into the Facebook posting of the "Are you okays" and that sort of stuff, but that's just me. But it's absolutely something, and I know that my friends are aware of that if they ever need help, and I often get random texts or Facebooks or whatever at 2:00 in the morning saying, "Hey, can you chat for 5 minutes?" Sure, whatever.
Or talk to some weirdo about Minecraft on Discord.
Yeah, or someone fishing, catching bloody angel columns or whatever the hell those things were.
Trying to get out of a 3x3 room.
I'm stuck in a 3x3 room. I need help. Oh dear. So that's just something handy to be aware of. And it's not a bad idea to jump on and see what you can actually do with your Google Home and Google Assistant. There's a lot of stuff that you can do that I keep forgetting that you can even do.
Yeah. A new large-scale survey of the sky looked into the dark forest of the cosmos, examining over 10 million stars, but failed to find up any evidence of alien technologies. The study, published in the publications of the Astronomical Society of Australia on Monday, details the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, using Murchison Wide Field Array, a collection of 4,096 antennas planted in the red soil of Western Australia that detects radio signals from space. They are little spider-like antennas that sit on the ground, explains Chinoa Tremblay, co-author in the study and astrophysicist with the CSIRO. Tremblay and co-author Stephen Tingay from the International Centre for Radio Astronomy Research use the MWA to listen out for technosignatures or evidence of alien technology in a portion of the sky around the Vela constellation. Tremblay explains this region is scientifically interesting because a large number of stars had exploded and died, creating ideal conditions for new stars to form. The search for extraterrestrial life piggybacks on other work studying this region to understand the life cycle of stars. After listening to the Vela region for 17 hours, no unknown signals were detected. While the survey was able to capture over 10.3 million stellar sources and contained 6 known exoplanets, likely many more exist in the region, the team notes that it was like trying to find something in an ocean, but only studying a volume of water equivalent to a large backyard swimming pool. And there's another big caveat, looking for technosignatures is assuming that civilization have technology similar to our own.
Well, they're either behind ours, in which case they're not going to be making digital signals, or they're ahead of us and they're not going to be making digital signals. The chance that they're technologically in exactly the same spot we are, making exactly the same signals at exactly the same time, is pretty slim.
Fantastic.
Nanu. Didn't he age backwards? He started off as an adult and grew into a kid.
Yeah.
And just on that too, the world's largest digital camera is it's about to start.
You've gone from the smallest computer to the largest camera. That's amazing.
The largest digital camera. It's the Rubin Observatory Legacy Survey of Space and Time, or the LSST. It's a catalogue containing more galaxies than there are living people on Earth. They have a 3,200 megapixel camera. It's spread over 189 individual sensors, spread over a 2-foot wide focal plane. Each sensor can take 16 megapixel images. The telescopic camera, once complete, is destined for the Rubin Observatory in Chile, where it will periodically take panoramic images of the complete southern sky for a decade. Its data will be fed into the Rubin Observatory Legatory Service and Survey Study Space Time and...
It's a TARDIS.
There's no punctuation. A catalogue containing more... the research team has released images taken with focal plane as well as a camera image browser viewer. Current images include the head of a broccoli, engraving, and a college of camera team. The images aren't as clear as those that will eventually be possible because they were taken without a lens. Instead, the team used 150 micron size pinhole to project images onto the focal plane. The camera will be about the size of an SUV once complete. They still need to integrate lens, shadow, filter system, etc. The primary lens measures 1.57 meters in diameter, and a secondary lens is 1.2 meters, and a third is 72 centimeters. It would cost about $168 million to produce. The one thing I don't say, which I thought would be interesting, is how much data it's going to use. But the focal plane has surface area large enough to capture a portion of the sky about the size of 40 full moons in one photo. Its resolution is so high that you could use it to spot a golf ball from 15 miles away.
I reckon if I was quite high, I could spot a golf ball as well.
The camera is expected to collect images of about 20 billion galaxies over the coming decade. The only thing I wish they'd said was how much data.
And how do we get access to it?
They'll be online.
Cool.
But yeah, 3,200 megapixel. I mean, if you work it out, what?
That better than 4K?
It's going to take it in. It's going to take it in RAW because it would be uncompressed. And a normal, like my Sony Alpha, I think it was an 8 megapixel or 10 megapixel. I think a raw image in that was 400 meg.
Yep.
And that was 10 megapixels. So times that by 320.
Yep.
Roughly.
Or an SUV.
So 10 meg. So what's that going to be? That's going to be about a 3,000 gig. Is that right? I think so. A 3,000 gig photo.
Yeah.
So
you're going to need a couple of petabyte drives for that.
3 terabytes per photo. Yeah. And it takes 189 photos at the same time because it's 189 sensors.
Nice.
So 190 times whatever that is, 3 terabytes.
Error.
There's too many zeros in that for me to figure out this time of night. So.
The Amiga fast file system is making a minor comeback in the new version of the Linux kernel. As noted by Chief Penguin Linus Torvalds in his weekly State of the Kernel report, a change to AFFS popped up among what he described as a collection of the usual suspects in new submissions to the kernel over the last week. The Amiga was ahead of its time, but is now largely a curiosity. However, SUSE developer David Sturber has noticed that the basic permission bits, protection bits in Amiga OS, have been broken in Linux AFFS. It would only set bits but never delete them. Also, contrary to the documentation, the archive bit was not handled. Let's fix this for good and set the bits such that Linux and the classic Amiga OS can exist in the most peaceful manner, he added. Torvalds appears to have agreed, as much as Sturber's code has made it into RC4 of version 5.9 of the Linux kernel. Torvalds says that while RC4 is a big release, he rated it as larger than usual, and it's still well within the normal range and not something I'll lose any sleep over.
Yeah.
So there you go. Get your Amigas and your Linuxes talking together.
It'd be interesting if it actually works literally to the point where you could be used as an emulator.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I could see some uses for that. You can remake the Amiga 500 effectively.
I always wanted a 600 nice form factor. Just a little one.
It was, I was going to say it was smaller, wasn't it?
Yeah. Really cute. I really wanted one.
I like the 500 because you could throw it off a 27-story building and it'd crack the concrete.
It's like a Nokia, right?
Oh, they really... And those floppy disks, I don't know what they made them out of, but they're indestructible. They still work today. I've got Amiga disks that still boot the same as they did when they were brand new.
Yeah. Any good games?
all sorts of stuff. SimCity and Worms and Zoom and Lemmings and so many.
Lemmings was like a killer app for the Amiga with the mouse and everything. It's difficult on the Commodore 64 with your joystick, but you can play it. But with the mouse on the Amiga,
it was a game changer.
Yeah,
I like there's so many games like Road Rash and stuff like that. I had one of those floppy drive caddies, the boxes with the flip top lid.
Oh, all right.
And they were like a foot by foot sort of one.
Yeah, full of floppies.
I had about 5 of those.
Jeez.
There's bootloaders and all sorts of custom games, and
I never had one. I really wanted one. I got a friend who thinks he might be giving me a 500.
I'll have to see if it's still. I'll have to ask. I'll ask my nephew if he's still got mine.
Yeah,
because I gave it to him back in '95.
I used to use ham mode for doing advertisements, and TV studios use Amigas all over the place.
Everything.
Yeah.
This thing's got some of the graphic design stuff. It's got emulators that you can run. You could do like animated GIFs. I think you could do it like 15 frames a second or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense. Microsoft says you can't uninstall Edge browser again.
We gave up trying to do that a long time ago.
So they said you could, and then they said you couldn't, and then they said you could again, but now you can't.
Oh. What?
So basically, the new Edge browser is based on Google's open source Chromium, the world's most widely used browser. Back in August, Microsoft explained the new version of Microsoft Edge is included as a Windows system update, so it can't be uninstalled. So now the company's updated its advisory again to explain that because Windows supports applications that rely on the web platform, a default browser is an essential component of our operating system and can't be uninstalled. You mean
everyone's got different default browsers they want? Didn't you have this problem with the European Union or something, forcing you to let people choose what browser they wanted?
Isn't Windows 95, wasn't that the whole thing that you had to use Microsoft? You had to keep Microsoft Internet Explorer installed because
the operating system was a browser.
Yeah, the Explorer.exe used to browse your files, used to use it as the backend.
Yeah.
We
know how we'll get them to use it. We'll make the operating system a browser.
Make it the operating system, yeah.
Then Google came out with Chromebooks, and that's essentially the operating system as a browser.
Yeah, well, I mean, pretty much. That's what it says. Shifting to Chromium, Microsoft's first.
But that was a browser people wanted.
Well, it was the Chromebook. Like, you wouldn't have had a Chromebook without that.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, so you can't uninstall it again at the moment. So we'll see how long that lasts. But on that note, speaking of Chromebooks, best rugged tablets in 2020.
Oh.
So the cheapest one they've got here is a Chromebook, Chrome OS tablet. It's designed, has Dragontail Pro Glass, which is supposed to be the next one up from the Gorilla Glass. It's not obviously hugely powerful because it is only a Chromebook, but it's got 10-inch display, 4 gig of RAM, 32 gig storage, about 16 hours battery life. It's ruggedized. It's splash proof, dust proof. It's almost something you'd probably give your kid in reality to take to school or whatever, because it's just strong enough for that sort of thing. And it's the cheapest at this is in US dollars. It's $270. What surprised me was the next cheapest one is actually a Samsung Galaxy Tab Active 2.
Oh.
It's a more compact version of the Tab Active, has a 8-inch display, has the MLSTD 810 certification, which gives it an IP68 rating, which means it's dust and water resistant. 11-hour battery life, 3 gig of memory, 16 gig storage, supports micro SDs, runs Android 7.1, so it's not the most recent, but should work. It's fully ruggedized once again. Drop, what do I say? 5 meters drop resistant. So it's, for that price, it's pretty good. And there's the other ones. There's the Panasonic Toughbook, of course, which is your $3,000. Effectively, I mean, they've been doing Toughbooks for forever.
Yeah.
You know, they're pretty much the pick of the bunch for that. But there's a couple other options, sort of in the middle of the price range. There's a Dell Latitude Rugged. There's the Active Pro, which is the original one. It's a bit the Android Samsung one. It's a bit dearer. It's 10-inch one, 64 gig of storage, so it's a slightly bigger version, but it's more rugged again. Windows tablet is the Getek F110, has run Windows, obviously, touchscreen. Has one advantage that it will work with your gloves on, so you for cold environments and stuff like that. So it's just interesting that there's actually a reasonable selection of ruggedized, like tablets coming out. There's been ruggedized phones for a while. Cat's done one, and Samsung's done one. There's been a couple of options, and you've had a couple of laptops with the Panasonics and whatever, but the tablet space now is getting that sort of same treatment.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Use it on your building site.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the thing is too, like, I know, like, even tradies, or even us, for example, when we go out and fit a battery on to a car,
yep,
you often are working, on the roof or the bonnet of the car. You got your tablet on there, you're taking notes and stuff, and a normal tablet or a phone that's metallized or hard plastic, you stick it on the roof or the bonnet, and the first thing it does is try to slide off.
Yep.
So one of those ruggedized ones with the sticky rubber casing, you put it on there. You can leave the thing in the sun, and it's not going to stop working because it tells you it's too hot. And you've got gloves on because you've been working with batteries and stuff. You can still do stuff. So even for general tradies or retail and stuff like that, it's great. It's fine, So what else you got?
About a few. That's it for me.
Couple of quick ones. I just like this story because I was trying to find the sound grab for it. Do you remember in like the Scorpion King when you go Emotet?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, France, Japan, New Zealand warn of sudden spike in Emotet attacks.
He's back. They let him out. The scarab beetles will be eating us all.
That's it. So basically, it's a malware, Emotet malware. You probably know more about it than I does, but basically, it's just spreads from email to email. It's designed to target companies and government organisations. It's a form of ransomware. They're calling it malware. It's sort of a ransomware from what I can quickly understand. But basically, it's been around since 2017. So it's been around for a while.
So it's like a CryptoLocker one.
Yeah, sort of.
Locks up your data and then ransoms you to get it unlocked again.
Yeah, but it does it differently because it attacks, like if it gets onto a network, it's smart enough to spread itself before it locks the system down. So if it gets into a network server, it'll attack all the slave systems first, and then once there's nowhere else for it to go, then it'll turn on its own system.
Right.
But yeah, so basically it's been around since 2017. It's been a mild threat. Like we're talking worldwide cases of couple of thousand. But in the last month, it's suddenly like there's over like 3,500 cases in a month. So
right.
it's all of a sudden it's just gone burko. So just inform your staff. Don't open emails that they don't know where they come
links
from.
and emails.
Pretty much, just good company policy in general. And also tell your mother-in-law the same thing.
Yep.
And quickly, Service New South Wales reveals 738 gig of customer data was stolen during an email breach. Attack accessed 47 staff email accounts and affected 186,000 customers.
Jeez.
Stolen of a cyber attack early this year following a 4-month investigation that began in April. So they've known about it since April and just telling you now. Service New South Wales said it identified that 738 gig of data, which comprised of 3.8 million documents, were stolen from the email accounts. One more. Where'd you come from? I'm in a sealed room. How can there a moth just randomly appear? Anyway, the one-stop shop agency assured, however, there was no evidence that individual My Service New South Wales account data or Service New South Wales databases were compromised.
They just don't know.
They don't know if they were compromised, yet all the data got taken from them.
Yep.
This rigorous first step serviced about 500,000 documents which reference personal information. The data is made up of documents such as handwritten notes on forms, scans and records of transaction applications, Across the last 4 months, some of the analysis included manual review of tens of thousands of records to ensure our customer agents can develop a robust and useful notification process. We are very sorry that customers' information was taken.
Yeah. Sorry about that. What you going to do?
Service New South Wales said to progressively notify customers. Review New South Wales Police are currently carrying out an investigation. As they do. Review by New South Wales Auditor General said cyber security defences, practices, systems and education is also underway. So basically it's not our fault. It was the hackers. Had nothing to do with us. We didn't do anything wrong. Blame the hackers.
We didn't protect your data, but...
Sorry about that. We're only a government organisation. It's not our job to look after your data.
In fact, your personal identifying data that somebody can commit fraud with.
So basically if you've got, it doesn't say, it just says, I haven't looked up, it says Service New South Wales, but I don't know what Service New South Wales specifically, I know it's a government organisation, but I don't know.
They deal with fines, licenses, grant licenses.
Okay, it's that side of it.
Yeah.
So it's only your photo ID, your address, driver's license numbers, email accounts, credit card details, phone numbers, addresses, family
anything identifying you.
Yeah, it's don't worry about it.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's already out there through all the other hacks. So what's one more?
No, nothing can go wrong from this. It's fine. Sigh.
Thanks for listening to the Aussie Tech Heads Show, broadcast weekly. We can be found at facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads, twitter.com/Aussie Tech Heads, and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Also now at patreon.com/Aussie Tech Heads. Sign up for $4 a month, $10 a month, or from several other tiers. See the site for details. Email us glenn.warlock@aussietechheads.com.au. You can hear Aussie Tech Heads on aussietechradio.com. 24/7 back-to-back play of some of the best tech-related shows from around Australia and New Zealand. New shows added each Friday. See you next time.
Bye.